Hello everybody, I'm Shaun Spaulding, former game designer at Ubisoft, current game designer on a thing called PokePoke, creator of way too many jam games, and as most who know me, long-term tutorial content creator for GameMaker. I've been asked to share some tips and advice for Ludum Dare from the perspective of a GameMaker user, or a would-be GameMaker user, and yes, I pronounce it Ludum Dare. I hope that we can still be friends. I've entered all but one Ludum Dare since LD30, and I've had a wide range of experiences. For context though, I usually aim for the solo compo variant, and I have always used some version of GameMaker. I'm an advocate for GameMaker as a jam tool. Still to this day, for me, it strikes the best balance of power and versatility versus like accessibility and a super low barrier to entry. So I've come up with some tips. Some of these will be GameMaker things, some of them will be jam specific things, Ludum Dare things. It's just a shotgun shell of tips and tricks all around. I hope it's helpful. You don't have to be good at making stuff or have ever made anything before for this to be worthwhile. A lot of people think game jams are a way for experienced developers to flex how good they are at making stuff fast, and you know, they are. But they're more useful, far more useful, for people who don't know how to make stuff. It's an excuse, really, to make something and to feel compelled to finish it. It teaches you, I mean, if you're studying game design, or you're working on a big game but you've never finished one yet, or you're literally thinking about getting involved in game design for the first time, take part in Ludum Dare. As a group, by yourself, whatever. Even if you fail to finish, you know, if you can ever call a game finished, at this stage you'll learn a lot from just taking part. There's no prize money, your score doesn't matter, your game doesn't really matter. What you learn, on the other hand, really does matter. Don't be afraid of drag and drop, and also don't be afraid of GML. What I'm saying is, don't really listen too much to everybody else and just pick what you think is right for you. People that watch me know that I recommend getting started in GML and coding as quickly as possible, and I do. But if you're more comfortable with drag and drop, or you don't think you'll be able to write code for such a quick game jam, you know, I disagree. But it's fine. The only way to learn is to get in there, get messy, and you'll probably fail on some level either way. But if you do take part and you use drag and drop, and maybe you still get stuck, or you struggle to finish, or get as much done as you would like, instead of just getting discouraged, I want you to consider, just consider that after a quick video or two, the code in GameMaker, at least, might actually be easier for you than drag and drop. What? I know, right? But seriously, don't be discouraged. Keep trying things. Do not think of drag and drop as easy mode in GameMaker, because it isn't. It's intuitive mode at best. There's a big difference. But as like I said, if it works for you, it works for you. Don't let other people tell you what you have to use. Don't throw away your first 10 ideas because someone else is doing them. Do the one that excites you. This is a personal one because I used to see this advice all the time when I first got started doing Ludum Dares, and I hated it because I rarely made it to 3 ideas. Pick an idea that fits the scope, that you think you could deliver in the time, and that excites you the most, or that you're just the most drawn towards. Other people making the same thing is entirely irrelevant. Execution is everything in a game jam, and even if your execution sucks, if you make a game loads of other people are making, just think how many examples will exist to teach you different design approaches to the same problems you were trying to tackle. It's really useful to have actually tried to make the same thing as a lot of other people. It can be really interesting to compare after the fact. If you go for something super weird and experimental and it doesn't work, you might just have no idea why, which can kind of suck. Not that you can't do that as well. Do what you want. That's kind of my whole point. Recycle old scripts and functions liberally. For GameMaker users especially, there's a whole host of functions that are pretty great to have in any project. I always start any jam game by making a script file and filling it with as many helpful functions as I can. I've gone over a few in a video before, but since functions have changed a bit with GMS2, I'll just show you a handful of my favorites that are compatible with the latest version, and I'll link them in the description too. I can't remember who I stole half of these from, so I'm sorry if I didn't credit you. Probably Juju Adams or GML Scripts or someone in the GM Discord or something. Also, the GM Discord exists. That should have been a tip on its own. But yeah, the GM Discord exists. Go check that out. Concat lets you combine a bunch of comma-separated strings and variables together in a string without having to use the string function. Very useful for showing debug messages. I often have a version of this that just does a show debug message instead of returning the string. Approach moves one value towards another by a given amount. Very useful as it's direction independent and will not overshoot the target number, saving you from doing max, min, and clamp all over the place. Wave will make a value move in a sine wave pattern over time. Wrap will, well, wrap a value between a maximum and a minimum. Super useful. There's a million of these, and you'll find your own as you go. You get the idea. Write your code as cleanly as you can, but without really actually trying very hard. This is just maybe what works for me, and might be compo specific. Maybe some people disagree, but I start every jam project with the best of intentions to try and write very consistently, very cleanly, and then it quickly devolves into chaos. And honestly, that kind of works. While I'm not saying you should be intentionally messy, there's nowhere in your schedule for refactoring. Make the best decisions you can in the moment and learn to live with them very quickly. When you have such little time, it's all about picking battles and getting the most value that you can. There's no point planning for a point in the development cycle that literally won't exist in a 48-hour window. The same thing goes for worrying too much about performance concerns. This generally won't affect total beginners, as you won't know what even might be performance heavy, which is a blessed time in your development career. But if you find yourself asking the question, should I use a repeat loop or a for loop for this in a game jam? The answer is yes. You use one, get it done. Free stuff exists, use it. The obvious stuff like BFXR for sound is a no-brainer, but for GameMaker especially, I want to shout out Juju Adams, who has a whole host of free-to-use libraries that you can use to quickly set up advanced stuff you might not otherwise be able to squeeze into a jam game. Scribble is especially good. I used this in my LD47 entry to easily create tooltips and text boxes and buttons all over the place. It was incredible and saved me so much time. I will disclaim that some of this is probably best not to shove into your game if you're a total beginner, as integration can be a lot to get your head around when you're still trying to get comfortable with basic stuff in GameMaker. Once you know your way around, this kind of thing is invaluable. Lastly, while it's not free, I still want to give a big shout out to GM Live by Yellow Afterlife. I made a whole video on this already, but it lets you make adjustments to your code in real time. Again, not necessarily for super beginners, and it costs a bit of money, but oof, it's a huge help. If you do use it for the compo though, remember it's a commercial tool, so you want to remove it from your project before you submitting your source code. Yellow worked really hard on GM Live, so let's not leak out his work. It's just a tool to help with programming, so it's not adding or removing anything to your actual game, so it's safe to just add it and remove it independently. That's all from me. I could actually go on for hours. The very last thing I'll say is remember to sleep on time. It's very important, and drink water. It's very easy and tempting to crunch yourself out on something like this, and it might even sound quite fun at first, but it's a dark path that leads only to ruin and sadness. Good luck, everybody. I'll probably be streaming over at twitch.tv/ShaunJS. I'll be using GameMaker. I have a whole bunch of time lapses of previous Ludum Dare entries, and of course a whole library of GameMaker tutorials if you want to take part 2. And I hope you do. Bye-bye. Ubisoft, current game designer of a game called Pokepoke and creator of way too many James. Too many James.